So a lot of customers have been asking us, is Siberian Larch good for cladding? And a lot of customers also come to us and say, what's a really good timber and an all-rounder for cladding? So the answer is Siberian Larch is perfect for this. And it's been long recognised as a really, really good all-rounder and a middle road cladding timber. The reason for this is because it's very resinous and very hard wearing. So it comes from Siberia, and Siberian climate gives you such extremes. So you can get very sunny summers and very hot sun directly onto the material, but also at the same time you get very brutally cold winters. So that's the reason why those varying temperatures make it a very resilient material. Siberian Larch comes in various different sizes, and typical with softwoods usually works up in imperial measurements. So you get inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, 2 inch, and up from there. So obviously inch is 25 millimeters. Then you have 32 millimeters, which is the inch and a quarter, 38 millimeters, inch and a half, and then 50 millimeters, which is 2 inch. And in terms of the widths, typical cladding timbers usually get it 25 mil thick, but you get 150 mil wide, and that's because that's a really economical way of doing cladding and getting that coverage. Usually you get it in 3 meter or 4 meter lengths, and sometimes you can even be lucky enough to get it in 6 meter lengths. So it's very available in those different sizes. Now this is a example of a sawn board in Siberian Larch. And then we've also got a planed all round version here. So you can kind of see sort of familiar patterning between the two of them, but one of them indicates how it's going to look once it's actually been turned into a cladding profile. But you've got that signature kind of crowning and patterning throughout, and the striping effect. Now it does have knots, and there are two different types of grade. You've got the unsorted grade, and then you've got the saw falling grade. So it can be a bit confusing because unsorted can sound a bit like you've not sorted out the best stuff, but actually it's the opposite. Unsorted grade is the better of the stuff. So it's been sorted into piles where you get the better quality, the less knots and the clearer. The saw falling, you'll likely still get a beautiful board, but it's going to have more knots and it's not going to be as clear as the unsorted grade. So that's important to remember that. Now, to work with Siberian Larch for cladding purposes, we'll usually profile this through our machine, and it gives you varying different shapes so that you can achieve different designs. Your architect will probably speak to you about different shapes and patterns. This is a typical example of how a tongue and groove board, if you look on the top there with the tongue and the groove, but with a shadow gap, can give you that kind of a design, which is brilliant for vertical cladding. But you can also get horizontal cladding patterns as well, things like a shiplap. So it all depends on which way round, which orientation you want your boards to flow in. Siberian Larch isn't just brilliant for cladding, it's fantastic for outdoor purposes, for outdoor furniture. And we actually made some trestle tables out of Siberian Larch because our trestles were going outside for an exhibition at the Mid-Somerset show, and in which case we needed them to be hardy for outdoor use. But yeah, it's a brilliant all-rounder. Now, one thing that's really important to remember with Siberian Larch is up until recently it's been in plentiful supply, and there were huge numbers of ships bringing it over here. So for cladding it was abundant. But recently, due to the war in Ukraine, there's been a bit of a hiatus in that regard, and they've stopped bringing stuff over because of the sanctions. So really it's only been what's available in the UK that you can use for your cladding project. Now, luckily for us, we still have plenty of stock of Siberian Larch. So if customers are coming to us and telling us that their architect has spec'd it, then yes, we can supply for that. However, it's really important to speak to your timber merchant and find out if Siberian Larch is spec'd on your project. Double check that there's availability there, because you might struggle to find it because it's not coming over here as readily available. Siberian Larch is a very good option for cladding, and I would probably say that it's a silver option. Now there's always a gold and there's a bronze as well. So the gold option is your higher priced timbers, and your bronze option is of course your cheaper, easily available timbers as well. We'll do a video later on to explain the different cladding types and just tell you what the price point is of those, and also the different properties and attributes, just to help you with some other alternative options.